Hey, what's up? I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
And we're 12 Stones, and you're watching
KJAG TV.
Yeah. Rock on, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Boyd Gaming's Kansas Star Casino as we get set for the official weigh-ins as Bellator MMA presented by Miller Lite once again returns to one of our favorite venues. A great fight card. We'll talk about that and have the fighters on the scale in just a couple of moments. For those that are on the casino floor, again, as always, we wish you the very best of luck here at Kansas Star, but take a few minutes out, come on over and join us right outside the Kansas Star Arena, right by the box office. The official weigh-ins will have fighters on the scales in just a couple of minutes from now. For those joining us on the live stream, we welcome you to the great state of Kansas as we get set. Bellator tomorrow night, presented by Miller Lite. For those that are attending, doors will open at 5 o'clock. First fight at 6 o'clock inside the Bellator cage, and as always, seen live on Spike.com. And then at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, as always, the normal start time live on Spike.
146 on the dot for Duran Carlos. And his opponent fighting out of Wichita, Kansas. Please welcome Ty Clark. He is undefeated at 5-0, 1 win by knockout. 146 on the dot for Ty Clark. They'll be kicking it off for us. Duran Carlos versus Ty Clark, ladies and gentlemen. Friendly fights here in Kansas. We love it. Next up, the lightweights, 155 pounds, John Gary versus Jason Witt. First to the scale, fighting out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Please welcome John Gary. A record of 11-6 as a pro, 7 wins by knockout, 3 by submission. $155.4 for John Gary. And his opponent fighting out of Lake Summit, Missouri. Please welcome Jason Witt. Record of 7-2 as a pro, 1 win by knockout, 4 by submission. $158.4 for Jason Witt.
Wow.
Let's give it up for the lightweights. John Gary versus Jason Witt. Becky, the biggest fight of your career, you said, I put more into this fight than I've ever had the opportunity to put into my other fights. What does that mean for the fans tomorrow night?
That makes they're in for a great show.
And her opponent, all the way from the Ukraine, please welcome Lena Ovchinnikova. A record of 10-3 as a pro, 8 of those wins by submission.
That's what you would refer to as an MMA pro fight. Yes. MMA pro. Bob Snapper.
124.6 for Lena Ovchinnikova. Lena, a big show. You said there's a lot of pressure on her to win, being the favorite, but she's ready for that. Tell me why.
She's always ready.
You heard it, two girls who are always ready. They will kick off our show. Becky Ruth versus Alina Ovchinikova. Give it up for her.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Full Court Press. My name is Andrew Duncan. You guys are going to be checking me out live on 95.9 FM KSUN Radio here in Wichita, Kansas. Don't forget, you can always tweet the program by tweeting yours truly. That's at DrewDuncan83. You can also check out the official fan page, the Full Court Press, on Facebook. You can also check out the website, thefullcourtpress.wix.com/The Full Court Press. As I said, I'm your guys' host, Andrew Duncan. Nice to put an ugly mug with the voice finally. I am here with an unbelievable, I cannot believe we're getting ready to talk to this guy right now. I got to tell you, I've interviewed a lot of guys, Howard Schnellenberger, Coach Troy Morrill. I can honestly say at this moment, I am truly starstruck to meet one of the greatest MMA influencers, one of the greatest MMA technicians, one of the greatest MMAs in all time. He's in the UFC Hall of Fame. He's got one of the best professional fight records of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, I have with you Royce Gracie. Royce, just want to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time out to talk with us. And man, it is a great honor to be here.
My pleasure.
All right, so everybody's been talking about it, obviously. It's a let's just address the elephant in the room. Ken Shamrock, the fight the other night, he alleges, we know what he thinks. He says that it was disgraceful what happened. What is Royce's take on the situation?
I beat him before, and I just beat him again. Simple as that, man. He made excuses on the past, and now he's making again.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, okay? There was a lot of, particularly when he was in the WWF, now the WWE, there was a lot of people saying that he was a little too aggressive to be in the WWE, that UFC was where he belonged because of that. You're saying that he's making excuses and becoming a complainer. A guy like Ken Shamrock, where do you think where he would have benefited the most? Do you think he belonged in the UFC? Do you think maybe he should have stuck to professional wrestling? How do you see a guy like that?
Well, he's fighting for Bellator now. But I think I just ended his career. I think he belongs at home now.
You think he belongs out? So you don't think you'll ever see Ken Shamrock again after the fight? Because he said, I don't want to go out like this. Do you think he was hinting towards retirement? Or do you think this is going to amp up and he's going to want to see you one more time before he leaves?
Man, he got schooled. He got schooled, man. I managed the distance. He didn't have to stand a chance. He couldn't even throw a punch. I didn't even give him a chance.
Do you think that was part of Ken Shamrock's when it comes to his tactic style, the things that he wanted to do tactically? Ken Shamrock has been known as a guy to not really be too aggressive and not really jump in there. Do you think that worked towards your advantage, the fact that he's more kind of a back-off type fighter and wait for you to engage, and the fact that he doesn't engage? Do you think that helped you out in the fight?
It's a strategy game. When he fought Kimbo, he shot straight in. He came in and went right at Kimbo, took him down a couple of times. You see, so, but with me, I frustrated him. I didn't give him the distance to throw a punch, to throw a kick. And when he flinched, I shot, got in a clinch. Got in a clinch, after a couple of knees, took him down, punch him out.
All right, now let me ask you this. You've been doing this for such a long period of time. I mean, you're basically the innovator in essence of jiu-jitsu and how Gracie works. What is it like, all the different transitions and things that you've seen in the business to the MMA the way it is now with Bellator and UFC and all those things? Do you think the way that the sport is it going in a good direction? Or do you think you liked it maybe before when it was a little bit more underground?
It's good. It's good because it became regulated all over the world. Everybody used the same rules. So I see some people sometimes complain about the rules, but the rules are even for both fighters. Some people complain about the time limit. It's even about the weight division. They're even for both fighters. So yeah, it's good. On the beginning, it was done that way with no rules, no time limit, no weight division, no gloves, to find out which style is the best style out there, which style of martial art. So since we proved that the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is the best, now it's a question of who's the best athlete, who have the best strategy.
Is that what you like the most about it, is the tactician, the strategy, the mind game that comes along with the physicality of it?
Oh, it's all strategy. A lot of people, they want to see two guys just stand there and bleed out and duke it out. But the champions, that they are the champions because they know how to use strategy.
Okay. Now, when it comes to strategy, you look at somebody like a Ronda Rousey, somebody who's used the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu philosophy in nearly all of her fights. It wasn't able to work for her in her last fight against Holly Holm, where Holly Holm physically dominated her with her fist. Do you think that somebody like a Rousey needs to work on her stand-up game, or do you think she needs to stay true to the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu philosophy and make that work for her?
She had a better strategy in the last fight. That's what happened. There's not nothing to do with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Look at Liam McGee. He's the champion for Bellator. And he's used a lot of Jiu-Jitsu. He finishes everybody in the triangle.
So let me ask you this. When we're talking about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and the philosophies that it all entails, the things, the disciplinary tactics and all that it teaches, do you think that Gracie Jiu-Jitsu goes beyond the mat and into life as well?
Of course. It's like I tell the guys, my black belt, to be a black belt under me, you can't smoke, can't drink. You see, we tell the guys, you serve as example for the kids. So I can't have one of my black belts getting drunk, smoke, doing drugs, and so yes, it goes beyond the mat. It's not just fighting. It's not just knowing how to teach or knowing how to execute the moves, but serve as example how to eat proper.
Okay. And before we get out of here, take up any more of your precious time, if there was one thing that you wanted people to know about Royce Gracie, what would that one thing be?
My father did not build fighters. He built instructors. We fight to prove that our style is the best.
Excellent. Very good, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out to come and talk to us today, man. You're a true living legend. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. You have a great day, all right?
Royce, I have two questions for you. One, what the heck did you say to Shamrock that changed his tune on after the fight? Because he was all pissed off, and then you got in his ear, you said something, and all of a sudden he changed. He was all of a sudden, oh, well, I want to thank Gracie for the fight, blah, blah, blah. What the heck did you say to him? Did you threaten to break his leg or something? Because you Gracies are vindictive when you get ticked off.
I think I told the corner, his corner, and I told him, I did not knee on the nuts. I did not cheat. Don't tell people that I'm cheating, because if the referee didn't stop the fight, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong. I did not fill your cup, it was a clean knee. I know and you know.
Yeah.
And that's when he's like, oh no, I'm sorry. He started to apologize right away.
And one more question. Me and my training partners we're going to watch the fight. They told me that they didn't want to live in a world where Royce Gracie loses to Ken Shamrock. Thank you for making sure we don't live in that world, Royce. I appreciate it, sir.
No, that was my pleasure. We'll keep them around a little longer.
That's right. Because, like I said, I don't want to live in a world where Royce Gracie loses to Ken Shamrock. So thank you, sir. I appreciate it. World Series of Fighting, all this stuff. Is it too much MMA? Is it going to be like boxing in the 80s where people are like, I'm sick and tired of watching boxing? Or is MMA just never going to get to that?
I honestly look at it, it's a matter of promoters, be that the UFC, Bellator, World Series of Fighting, Victory, whoever it's going to be. They just have to put on fights that people want to see. You know, you can put the two best fighters there are that no one really knows of, or they don't are not enthralled by their persona or the way they fight, no one's going to watch. But if you put on good fights, you put on entertaining fights, people are always going to watch.
Now, watching some of these fights that you have, how hard is it when you get in there, like for instance, with Nada and Kimbo? They are street fighters, thugs, whatever you want to call them. Are you worried about, are they going to stop when I say it's time to go? Or have we gotten past the John Hess and Tank Abbott way of doing things? And yes, John Hess.
There you go. That's going back. There you go. You know what? It's a different world. I don't worry about that. They come in and they're trying to fight MMA. They know what they're doing as far as what they're getting themselves into, and if they follow the rules, they follow what I say, or they're going to end up being taken out of the fight. So that's their choice. But I don't have a problem with fighters. If people meet the fighters, they'll figure out, they're all good guys. They get into a cage and they do something in a competitive fashion. That doesn't mean that they're a mean person all the time.
Now, what fights are you repping for?
I have
no idea.
No idea.
No idea?
Nope.
You're just going to show up and do your thing?
Show up and they'll tell me tomorrow, and that's fine. That's what it's about.
So with Bellator, and they have the big entrances, and they do all the cool stuff, and the UFC's got the boxing-like entrances. What do you like the spectacle part of it, or does that even matter?
No,
You've been in this. You've been in this since UFC 2. So
I've been there since UFC 1.
Well, yeah. I wish they would have let you rep UFC 1.
It's a matter
we're going to get into that here in just a second.
When you look at it, the old Pride shows, what Rising is doing now. When you look at the production that is put in that, it's fantastic for especially the fan that pays for that seat at the arena, because they get an experience that you have to be there to do it. The UFC has done it. When they had the Chad Mendez versus Conor McGregor fight, they had Sinead O'Connor coming up. What they did there, it was electric in how it was. It's a show. It's great. What Bellator does now with the Dynamite shows and their tent poles, it's awesome. When those screens are going, it adds to the entire element of the fights. It adds to the atmosphere. When you get an electric atmosphere, usually that helps the fighters and everything. So it's all good.
Now, what did you think of the Hoist Shamrock? Not the fight. The debacle afterward, all these internet people. We didn't have that back in UFC 1 and UFC 2.
A little bit different. But you know what? It was, they went out there and, they did what they did. And, there's going to be people that think that, Canada's complaining for nothing. There's going to be people that side with him and say he got hit in the groin. That's for people to decide. I'm not here to even worry about it. I didn't do the fight. I don't have to worry.
Now, before I let you go, tell me about your podcast.
My podcast.
I listen to it every week. You're doing all sorts of things on there every week. Talking about it.
Well, the whole thing with my podcast is really, we try to talk about things that are not the norm. We talk about, obviously, MMA. We also talk about boxing a lot. The whole thing is we talk about things that most people don't understand. They don't understand the rules. We let them ask questions so we can clarify things, so we get people so they understand the sport better. I want them to understand exactly what the fighters are allowed to do, why the referee's going to do certain things at a certain time. That's all good, because the more you educate the fans, the more they understand what's going on and the more comfortable they are with everything. So the podcast is Let's Get It On with Sean Wheelock, who's a commentator for ONE FC and Victory. Used to be with Bellator, and you know what? It's a fun show. I enjoy doing it, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Okay, one final question.
Yep.
And this goes all the way back to all your experience and everything. Is Brock Lesnar the greatest combat athlete right now?
I gotta go.
Well, I hear JBL say that every Monday night, and I'm like, really?
No. I like Brock.
Okay, one final item. You want to jump in there and do it real quick? We'll make it happen. A quickie.
95.9 FM, KSUN Radio, Wichita, Kansas, the Full Court Press. I am your host, Andrew Duncan. You guys are checking me out live. Don't forget, you can also check out the Facebook fan page, The Full Court Press. You can also check me out on Twitter at AndrewDuncan83. You can also check out the website, thefullcourtpress.wix.com/The Full Court Press. That's a mouthful. Say that 10 times fast. All right, we're still here at Bellator at Kansas Star Casino Arena, Mulvane, Kansas, and right now I have with me one of the originators. Great to have him with us in MMA.
What he's saying is I'm old. He's right.
All right, you know what? A guy who's been around as long as you have, what is one of the great things in terms of the way that the business has begun to transition? What has been, you think, your favorite aspect of it, and what do you think has been your least favorite aspect of it?
Oh my God, you know, for me, the favorite thing that's been there for me is people now appreciate what these athletes do. They understand what kind of training they have to go through. They understand all the hard work and dedication it takes. They understand that, oh, it's not two thugs going in. They give them credit for being the supreme athletes that they are. That makes me incredibly happy because they deserve it, and it was something that in the beginning they never got. So that would be the thing that I like the most is how much people appreciate the fighters and what they're doing now. The worst part of it is you know what? You're never going to satisfy everyone all the time. Everyone's got opinions on things. They all expect every fight to be great. Not every fight's going to be great. That's just when it's real, you can't script it. So there's some fights that we have, they're just not very good fights. We have some fights that are unbelievable. I tell people all the time, I don't care what it is. Great boxing is great to watch. Great MMA is great to watch. Bad MMA or bad boxing, they suck to watch. And that's just the way it is in the fight game because it's not scripted like the WWE. Sometimes you think you're going to put together a great fight, and it doesn't happen. Sometimes you think, it won't be that good, and it's one of the greatest fights ever. So that's just, people need to look at this in the real fashion of sometimes guys just can't go out and do what they think they can do under the certain circumstances because the person they're going against is just a difficult person.
You know, and speaking of that, whenever you go on a Facebook fan page or Twitter or whatever, and you go into the comments section, it's littered, and it seems like everybody's got an opinion.
Everyone does have an
Everybody's got an opinion. And just because you have an avenue, that doesn't mean you should say something just because you can. Do you think that we've almost gotten spoiled in terms of we always want to see that big knockout or that amazing fight? Do you think maybe fans for a while got kind of spoiled on that, and maybe the casual fan just doesn't truly understand what MMA is really about?
I think that there's certain things about MMA that the fans always want the spectacular, and I don't blame them. They want the spectacular knockout. They want this great, flying submission or something like that. It's just not always possible. You get a lot of these things like, oh, no, don't leave the fight in the judge's hands. Sometimes you really don't have any say in that because your opponent is so good. You're countering everything he's doing, but he's countering everything, and it's a tough, grind-out fight that you just can't end. And you get people that they look at it, they don't understand what MMA is. They'll want the fight to be stood up when someone is doing what they are legally allowed to do and doing it well on the ground, but it's not exciting to them because they don't understand it, and so they want the sport to change. Well, the sport is not about small glove kickboxing. There's all kinds of elements. There's grappling. When the fighters are doing the things that they're supposed to do, stay in those positions. So I wish they were just a little more educated on it. That's what I try to do.
Excellent. And if a guy who's been around as long as you have, I'm not trying to. You accomplish so many things. I've talked to guys who've been in the football business a long time, basketball business a long time, and everybody's got kind of that one thing that they love that they did, that they accomplished in this business, no matter what everybody else thinks their greatest accomplishment is. What do you think yours is?
And I got no idea. I really don't. I tell people all the time, I'm lucky. At one time in my life, I didn't think of it this way. I'm so lucky that I got to do what I did in this sport, that it made me a referee because I would have been long gone if I was a fighter. And as a referee, I've been able to stay active in it. I've taken big parts of it, and putting things together and rules and things like that. And to be in the position that I'm at now, 53 years of age, and I'm still with the very best fighters there are in the world, almost every week doing a show somewhere, couldn't be a luckier person.
Awesome. And one more question before I take up any more of your precious time. If there's one thing that you want everybody out there watching right now to know about you, what would be that one thing?
That I'm not as dumb as you think, I guess. You know, I don't know, but you know, it's I'll tell you one thing. Most people think, you know, you seem really mad in the cage. I'm never mad. I'm enjoying life. I'm having a good time. So, if you think I'm mad, I'm not.
All right, everybody, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. An original right here, all the way back to UFC #1. Unbelievable.
It's a long time.
Thanks for taking the time out today, man. I really appreciate it. Hey,
Yeah, just pull around here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're right over there.
We're names. This is KJAG TV.
We're 12 years coming, and this is KJAG TV.
Thank you, gentlemen.